Well, yeah, if there's nothing else gaming history related, I think we can dive into topic two. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, topic two, The Sims.
The
Hit me.
best game.
The best game.
I know have you have a pass with The Sims as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was the first game you played with your sister, I think, is what you'd mentioned.
Pokemon was probably one of the first games I played with my sister, but I definitely put in a lot of time in this with The Sims. I have like all of the original game expansions. That was a game I would like introduce to friends in high school because I was old enough where I was playing that in high school. And
I still play
would
it.
get them addicted to it. I'm saying like that when the first Sims was coming out, I was
Oh,
already
right.
in
Yeah,
high
that's
school
true.
is what I'm saying. Yeah, because the original Sims, basically as every new expansion came out, like if you installed it, you only needed that disc for the game. So I would give a friend of mine who I got addicted to The Sims. I would give her like the last expansion, and she would just like she would just be playing my game on her computer up through the final the expansion or whatever. So maybe she never played Making Magic or whatever. But yeah, that was like I definitely put in so many hours in that. But this is your topic, so you tell me your Sims
Sure.
experience.
The first time I tried The Sims, I had like read about it online, so it was The Sims 1, and for what it was, or Sims 1, The Sims, that was just fun because you could make a pretty house and you could make a family with kids that never grew up, which was really annoying. But I
You could
played
get 'em to
The
grow up,
Sims
right?
busting out. No, in the first one, the
Oh,
kids just like
that's
went
right.
away or they stayed children, and that was really annoying
Yeah,
because they had to do homework like all the time.
yeah.
But I loved The Sims busting out on GameCube, and that was actually the one I played the most at first before playing The Sims 2, because it was kind of like a story mode, and it was cool to go from like house to house to house, like making the relationships with people, the big cow cactus plant thingy, or the Venus flytrap that could eat your mother. How people were always kicking you out. I don't know why. It was like the coolest game. You got a new car. Like, what more do you need? That was for me like what made me want to be a teenager so bad. But I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a car and live at everyone's house, and I can join the military because it's a really good job.
And then
Turned out I didn't
eventually
do that.
you'll be an astronaut on that track, I think, right? Is that
Exact-
where
yeah.
that one ends? Because
Yeah,
police
it
officer
usually
is where
almost
you end
ended
up
up
as a
being
superhero.
yeah, which is the Sims for me was all the at first it was I get to be an adult, which is fun because I was a kid, but then as a teenager it was okay. What are all the weird things I can do in this game that you would never do? Like in The Sims 2, in I think what was it, Strange Town, where the aliens were.
Maybe? Yeah.
I think it was like a desert
Sure.
town, and that was the one where you look in the telescope, you can get abducted by aliens as a man and become pregnant with a baby alien. So I was like, well, I have a couple hundred hours to kill after school for the next couple months. I'm going to make it so every man in this town gets pregnant with an alien, and I'm going to phase out all the people so it'll just be a full alien town. So I and that took hours.
Yeah.
Because you had to be, I think, logic level 7 or like 7 to 10 to get abducted. And at first I was just going to do it all with one guy, but then I realized all of these kids would be siblings, so then they couldn't make more alien babies, so that wouldn't work. So I had to make a house with 4 different guys, each have them have a kid, and then I would kill them. And then I would just have the aliens procreate and then make them keep procreating until eventually it phased out like all the NPCs and everything, because I just wanted a fully alien town. And that took me like 6 months of every day I would come home from school and I'd be like, oh, okay, phew, I have to get everybody getting real good at their logic and get all these people procreating so I could have a town full of aliens. And I think that might have been the happiest I've ever been when I finally like if there was a
were no
platinum for
people
that,
left.
I got it.
Nice. That's yeah. There were a ton of like weird little one-off things that I think I maybe had like one person ever get abducted and come back and have like an alien baby. never did I think, oh, I want to do this with everybody.
I was like, I'm going to phase out every human in this town because this is all I want. I don't know. The second I found out you could get pregnant as a guy, I got like the little manual. I was like, this is the coolest thing in the whole wide world. Why else would I play this game? What else did I do? I know that if you got people up to charisma 10, I would make a guy who was like super charming and charismatic. And this is another, I'm realizing this is a lot of like weird schemes that I would do. David actually, he watched me redo this again in The Sims 3 and then again in The Sims 4. I would make it so that guy would get every woman in town pregnant, but I would never let them move in because I just wanted to like spread my seed through the town, and then I would kill the mothers because I wanted all these kids to grow up without a mom, and there was just an old elderly woman and I wouldn't let her age and she would take care of all the kids. But I was a great dad, though, because I would invite the kids over when it was their birthday, because it would let you know when their birthday was, and I would throw them a party with all their siblings. And I would make, like, big meals, and I would send them each home with food in their inventory so they wouldn't starve. And when they reached adulthood, I would kill them because I just wanted the whole town to be my children, because I thought it would be cool to live like those Mormon people where it's, like, one guy and there's abundance of kids. I wanted that to be me. So the Sims kind of showed me a lot about myself.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I know that the camera has been on you this whole time, but like my face has basically been like, oh, Chelsea's
I see your face. You're like, oh
Chelsea,
my god,
Chelsea's crazy as fuck.
Yeah, it was never enough to run my house. I had to run the town. So I also made it I think it was The Sims 3. You could get a unicorn, so I would make everybody get a unicorn because I wanted everyone to be riding unicorns all around town. Yeah, I was always up to no good, just trying to find ways for the whole town to be one way. Am I communist?
You're basically, yeah. I mean, it sounds pretty much like you're just Vladimir Putin in the Sims.
I just want everyone to be the same. All aliens, all children. There was always a big diabolical scheme where one day, probably in the middle of doing something really important, I would just think, what is a way I can make this whole town weird? Like, make every single person in town a woman with 7 cats, so the whole town would just be covered in cats.
Yeah.
It's weird now that I think about it.
Yeah.
I think it was The Sims 3. I don't remember what expansion, but your kid, when they became a child, they would have an imaginary friend.
Mm-hmm.
And if you befriended the imaginary friend I don't know if there was a skill you had to have, but when you became a teenager, you could actually turn them into a person. So I would be like this beautiful thing where they've been this imaginary friend for so long, and it turns into a person, and you can be in a relationship with them, but I would always kill them right away so that the kid would be like, oh, it's my best friend, I can't believe it, for so long I thought you were fake, you're dead. Oh, this is really sad.
Yeah, death seems to be the running theme here, which is that's the really concerning part, is that everything basically ends up like, I'm gonna do this really weird thing, and then everyone's going to die.
But it was so fun. Like, the thing I miss about The Sims 2 the most is their memories,
mm-hmm.
and you could scroll through all their memories, and in all the other games, I didn't get to see how upset they were by all the things that I did. So that was really disappointing.
Yeah, that's... The Sims 2 is probably the last generation I really... Like, I think I got The Sims 3, and I played it maybe a little bit, but that was at the point where my computer stopped really liking those games because it's old and crappy and can barely run Google Chrome at times.
Yes.
So I've definitely fallen off the Sims wagon, but I would still keep up with the game. And so I would always be fascinated when new Sims games were coming out with less things to do than the old games. And I was like,
The Sims 4 was the worst for that.
Yeah, that's what I remember reading that left and right. I was like, what? Why is that you're just cashing in on people who want the newest Sims game. And then they're going to get it and say, this game, I can't do any of the things I want to do, so I'm going back to The Sims 3. That's not a good strategy.
The Sims 4 was the most disappointing, because it's like, oh, you know those things you liked about the base game? They're an expansion now. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, because we'll sell it, and we miss that money where people bought, every expansion pack from the first generation for $40-$50. like me.
Like, yeah, even
idiots
the
like
clothes,
me.
it's like, oh, the base game, you get some jeans and 57 t-shirts.
Yeah.
And the Sims 3, there was a dropper where you could literally make the clothes, like, or anything in the house, any design you wanted, and they took that out. I'm like, hi, interior designer over here with diabolical schemes, and now I can't make a pretty house where I can make a mom have a kid who goes to university, makes a boyfriend, comes back with the boyfriend who gets the mom pregnant, kill the last kid. Like, that was a great cycle for me.
I knew death was coming somewhere in there.
I mean, yeah, it was a problem. I think The Sims 2 was probably the best. I think that was the one where you had to invite the headmaster over and schmooze him to get your kid into private school.
Yep.
So I would always make either the mac and cheese or the lobster because those always went over really well. Like, it's just so frustrating. They took out all the fun stuff. I liked having to get them into private school, and I liked having to get your teenager to sneak out of the house to go on a date. And if they had a good job, they picked them up in a limo. And it was like all that cool stuff that I miss a lot.
Yeah, that's it. And just to be clear, like, I killed plenty of people in The Sims myself. Like, the moat trick of the original Sims game, that was my jam. I would invite everybody over, and you put a moat around the house, and so they,
Yep.
but with no ladder to climb out. So
Of
they all
course.
jump into
How
the
else would you
pool
get out
to
of a
try and
pool?
get to the front door, and then they die in the pool, and then you get new.
Yeah, I've
new
totally done that
gravestones.
too, where you make the whole house around a pool, so they have to go into the pool to get anywhere else in the house, and they would just die of fatigue trying to
Yep.
go to the bathroom. And I'm like, just pee in the pool.
Yep. Yeah. So I did that, but I didn't like make it part of an elaborate scheme to first turn everybody into like cat people.
Oh,
and
jeez,
then
I just
kill
dropped my
them.
phone. Yeah, I don't know what it
Um,
was where I could never just play it. Like, some people are like, oh, I like playing The Sims and having a kid and making a family and have everyone grow old and carry on the generation. I don't have time for that. I need to take over this entire town.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of terrifying.
I would do like the tracks just to see what they were and get the fun little stories of like, oh, your guy who started as like a beat cop, security guard or whatever is now a superhero. That was fun. That was a good.
That's
and it was
cool.
like, again, it goes to that to what we were talking about in the last segment of like there was character progression there, and I was leveling up the character and getting the their arc kind of to a completion point. Be it like, oh, okay, now I need a level 10 logic and a level 7 charisma, so I'm gonna play a lot of chess and I'm gonna perform in front of a mirror a lot. And
As you do.
And then I also had to make friends, and I was like, oh, I suck at that part of the game, but I would try.
I have to call everybody.
Exactly. That was like maintaining friendships sucks, and it's like I'm bad at that in real life. Why would I want to be good at that in a game?
That's what I hated about The Sims 4 is in all these games, I always do it at least one time where I'm the guy who gets everyone pregnant and has all these kids.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to maintain your infidelity when, for some reason, The Sims 4, people just show up at your house. And sometimes I like to make out and flirt on the front lawn, and then the 3 of my girlfriends show up, and I'm like, everyone's mad, now I can't get them pregnant, I have to apologize. It's really frustrating, and it totally cramps your style.
I mean, I feel like you could have easily gotten away with that by just not making out in the front lawn.
Yeah, but so when the moment strikes with what's her name, I mean, it's always different. Sometimes it's just you gotta go, and stuff's getting hot, and there's a hot tub nearby. Nope, ruined, because everybody shows up.
Yeah. That was... But, yeah, I definitely put a lot of time into those games. After I would do, like I would have, like, one character that would go through basically every career path, and so he would be a superhero, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm done being a superhero, now I'm going to go be a movie star or something like that. I had a good time with, like, doing that, but I spent probably most of my time in The Sims, when all was said and done, just, like, making elaborately large, beautiful mansions, and, like,
That was always fun.
being interior designer kind of stuff. I spent way more time, like, building houses than I did actually, like, putting people into those houses and then enjoying them. It's like,
Yeah,
this
the
is-
worst
this
part
is
of the
the
game
mansion
for
I'm
me
gonna
is
have.
like
It's gonna
when
have- it's gonna
Exactly.
it's gonna have a bowling alley. It's gonna have a pool table.
But I'm not gonna have anybody over.
Yeah,
That's what I hated. In The Sims, I just liked having my one person which is why I always made it where all my kids lived in other houses. I didn't like having to take care of them. I want to be a parent too, which is weird because I don't like being a parent in The Sims.
I mean, like, I didn't know if I was going to bring it up in the show, but, like, I'm definitely concerned for your and David's kid now.
I know, because I want a baby, but now I'm thinking, I keep killing all my kids in these games or giving them away to old elderly women in a home where I make it very much like an orphanage where, like, it's beds in single file and there's one bathroom. I'm just like, they'll figure it out. I send them food. They'll be okay. And now I want a baby. This is alarming.
Yeah, I mean, at least you recognize this about yourself and
like,
can,
maybe I should talk to somebody.
recognize that, hey, maybe this isn't how I should actually treat a kid.
It's one of those things where I've done this my whole life, but I've never actually said out loud the things I do in The Sims, except for to David, but he already knows I'm crazy anyways. And saying it out loud, I'm like, this could say a lot more about me than I think. And this might be a problem.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Like, I'm sure there are, like, if not BuzzFeed articles, I've definitely seen, like, College Humor or Dorkly articles that are like, what kind of Sims player are you, and what that says about you as a person. And so I was like, it's okay that I'm, like, an interior design or architect kind of Sims player, because it just means I like building something. Okay, cool, yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't know if they've ever touched on the type of Sims player that insists on turning an entire town into alien people and killing off all the normal humans. I'm pretty sure
that actually is like a hostile takeover.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, like you basically played God to Area 51 the shit out of that city.
I did. The only person I saved was Bella Goth because she was missing from Pleasantville in the first town, and my goal was to eventually move her there and blow Mortimer's mind because he thought she was dead this whole time. That was the story for another day, but that had to happen. I needed to figure out some sort of way to get her to move there because everyone thought she was dead.
And I mean, it sounds like the real trajectory would have been Bella gets all of the alien people pregnant, or all of the alien people get Bella pregnant, and then all of the alien people die, and Bella just has a shit ton of alien kids.
I would love that. I need to do that.
I'm pretty sure that's what you would have done. Next.
Like, she should have been my vessel, but I didn't like that the 50-50 chance that the baby might not be an alien because you can't kill the baby right away. Wow. I said that. I had to wait till they got older before I could kill them. Gee. Well, hey guys, what's up? I'm Chelsea. I'm really nice.
I mean,
I kill people.
You couldn't kill them, but you could get child services to come pick them up.
That's true. But then they had like a bad memory about that. Anyways.
Yeah, that's true. I guess killing them leaves no bad memory for them.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, The Sims is a great game. It really teaches you how to be responsible. Another thing I have a problem with The Sims, it's like resumes don't exist. You get to the top of a career, you're a superhero, as you said, and then you start as like a grunt in the military. Why is there no carryover of experience in any of your jobs?
Well, there was some. Like, I remember, I mean, it's to a much smaller degree, but it was, like, you would start, like, if you're the top tier, you could start, like, the next tier. Like, the job offerings you would get would be, like, tier 3 or tier 4 of that track or something like that. Or you would just, like, move right up the ranks really quickly.
Well, yeah, you'd move up because you already had, like, the skill level. I think the one time they rewarded you, which was actually smart to teach kids this, was if you started working as a teenager and you got to the top, you would start at, like, tier 3 when you were hit an adult. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, that's really smart. It teaches kids to, like, go to work when you're a teenager. Nope, took that out of the game. Thanks, Obama.
Excellent. Yeah. Did you ever play any of the? So you touched on Bustin' Out, which I'd like completely forgotten about. But yeah, I totally played Bustin' Out as well. Did you ever look at The Sims Online?
No, I played like Sims 3. I think they had that on console. I think it was Sims 2 or Sims 3 they had on console. It just wasn't the same. Mm-hmm. Like, if you put Sims on console, it kind of needs a story. I forget what the other one was. There was a Sims on console that had a story, but once they made it...
Herbs, I think.
That one. There was the Herbs with the black-eyed peas in it.
Yeah.
What? I never understood
Racial
that.
demographics in video games.
But it was really fun. That game was really fun too, just because of like all the different kind of like cool areas you had to go to, and I got to be goth for 5 seconds, which was like a dream that I'd always had. And you could get a dog. That's a good game. But even after that, there was another one, but they just weren't as good. And then they moved to putting like as base as possible on the console without a story, and that kind of just killed it for me. Mm-hmm. If you're gonna take everything out and not add something more console into it, don't bother. Just leave it.
I was actually referring to, there was it was basically like an MMO game called The Sims Online, I think.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it was. I want to say it maybe came out, maybe after 2. It was basically like more in the style of Sims 1, but it was like you were in a town with other actual real life people, and like you would have your kind of plot of land, and you could turn it into a business, and you could and other people could come like buy from your business, and like I want to say, like, you could be like a grocery store, you could do entertainment, or it could just like be or like a restaurant or something like that. I remember I remember reading a ton about it, and I was just not an online player, so I was like, well, I'm never going to do that. But it would be cool to do that and play and like sell like the things I make in my Sims game to other people, and
this is like blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I imagine it's probably not supported anymore or something, but there might be still.
This sounds like Second
Sims
Life.
Online. It was very much like in the.
Okay.
It was basically like Sims meets Second Life, or Sims meets EVE Online. That kind of experience, a little bit. But yeah, it was one of those, like, I remember looking at it, and it was, I want to say it was like the style of the original Sims. So it was still much more like isometric, kind of top-downy. But yeah, it was like you would be in a town with like 40 other people or something like that, and you would each have your plot of land to start out with, and it was just like, there aren't cheat codes. You actually have to like build up and either do work, or you have to like become an
There's no
entrepreneur
mother
kind of
load?
Yeah.
Mother load was
no
like my
mother load,
savior.
no Rosebud. Yeah. All that was gone, and you actually had to like earn money from others. It was, and I think like if you died and you were like, then that sim was gone, and you had to like start anew or something like that. I don't remember the
couldn't go make ambrosia. Making ambrosia is like one of my favorite things, even though it takes level 10 and like 4 skills.
Yeah, I don't even remember ambrosia. I mean, like, I remember it now that you bring it up, but it was definitely not anything I ever like dealt. Because I would also, for the most part, I just turned aging off once we got it, like once aging became a thing in Sims 2. Because I was like, I don't want my characters to like grow old and die of old age. I just want them to be Sims forever. And just like, if my characters grow old and die, they can't become superheroes. So what's the like? I don't want to be confined to the 35 days I get them as adults or whatever it was.
Yeah. I just using that to make like a story in my head that would never be told because no one watches you play Sims. But I would make it so like these two parents would have this beautiful kid, and then the parents would die tragically, and then I would make the kid want to resurrect their parents. They didn't say that, but that's how it was in my head. So I would make them go through all the trouble of, I think The Sims 4 was the hardest one to do it because you had to get, I think it's the angelfish, you needed, I think there was like an orchid involved, there was a weird plant that you had to go to another town to get, and then you had to resurrect them, and you had to befriend the ghost and feed it to the ghost, and she would resurrect her parents, and it would be all fairly anticlimactic once it happened, but in my head it was like the most beautiful quest of a teenager trying to resurrect her parents, that it was all worth it, and that was another one of my little stories where I would just invent these stories that would never be told, but now it is.
Yeah, you touch on an interesting point there. I'm curious, and obviously I'm not like in tune with the streaming communities necessarily, but I would be very curious what this game would have looked like had it come out initially, like had those first Sims games come out at a time where Twitch was a thing, and like I'm sure there would be, and I'm sure there are Sims 4 Twitch streamers out there or something, but
a handful, but a lot of them is just builds.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I would literally love to see someone make a story out of it. But then there's the whole problem of like going to sleep, going to the bathroom, and you're just like, wait, guys, gotta wait for this to happen before we can proceed with the story.
Yeah, and there were, at the time, that was when, like, I first got introduced to things like Red versus Blue. Even though I never, like, I was never watching it, I got introduced to, like, people making videos out of their Sims stuff, especially with Sims 2, where they gave you, like, a video mode, and it was people would do weird things in Sims
cool.
and make short comic videos, short funny videos and stuff. I was like, oh, that, like, those are people who have way more time and are way more, like, creatively dedicated to that idea than I would ever be. Like, I will come up with the fun stories in my head, and I would do, this is like the most exposure I've ever really had to a modding community was I would, in the first Sims, I would download editors or something, and I would, like, recolor items like furniture and stuff and build like save them and give them, like, descriptions, and I would make jokey fun descriptions of the items. And like make sets of, like, oh, the chair in the game is like a blue chair, but I took all of that, like, family of chairs and made them pink or something like that, and gave them, like, Simish kind of names and Simish stories for just the item descriptions. And those were just dumb little things that I just did for myself.
But it's, like, so fun.
It was fun. It gave me an extra personal connection to the games, but I would never take the time to become, like, a video editor of Sims videos and do, like,
like, people made music videos and stuff too.
Yeah, there are some very talented people out there. So I'm curious. I would be very curious to see what. 'Cause, I mean, like, even just thinking about it, it seems like it would be a great kind of Twitch game. Because even if you are, like, yeah, okay, my characters are sleeping for the next 6 hours, that's a good time to check in with the chat and, like, visit with people while, you know, you turn it on to, like, level 3 cheetah speed or whatever, and
if there was, like, enough of an audience for it, I would go back and love to redo, like, make my alien town again and just have people see that odd progression of insanity. But I just feel like that would be so fun, or even just to do, like, a quick time lapse of it, of just seeing the town, like, all the humans just dropping like flies and all these aliens rising to power and, like, I had them be, I think you could be president, or it was, like, CEO or something of a big company, and then, like, all the cops, and just make the whole town just aliens.
Yeah,
I think it'd be super fun.
Part of me is very glad it didn't come out at the time of, like, streaming, because I feel like the game and streaming and me would be in a very different place, and, like, the industry. But it's definitely, like, what if? It's a very interesting what if kind of world scenario, because like, it seems ripe for YouTube videos and that kind of stuff of, like, oh, here's a fun little thing I did, but it is much more like it takes time to do all of those things in this games. It isn't just here's a funny 5-minute clip of something that I did, because you can get that funny 5-minute clip, like, everybody can do it. It is the, like, building out an entire town of alien people that takes 6 months. That's the funny journey that you can't get in a 5-minute clip video.
Like, those are my two polar opposites, is, like, the time I dedicated to Black Ops 2 and the time I dedicated to The Sims. It's like, I definitely can't put 15 minutes into one, but then I probably didn't play the other one for 12 hours straight. Whereas, like, I could play The Sims for 12 hours straight. Black Ops, I've done it when we were competing. I probably couldn't ever do it again. My eyes just hate it. And I don't feel like the muscle memory is still there, but my ability to completely track the screen and know what's going on at any given time, I can't do it. But The Sims, you could pause it. That's great.
Yeah. Excellent. Any final thoughts on The Sims before we dive into?
I want to go play it when we're done.
That's like, talking about it.
I have The Sims 4 on my Mac, and I'm working on my taking over the town and making them all my kids.
Your Lothario
and I feel like
run.
I need to get back to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
My beautiful
the
little
Casanova,
utopia of children.
The Casanova playthrough is what I'm gonna what I'm going to call that one.
That is excellent. That is excellent. That's exactly what it is.
Nice.
So I want to go do that now after.
Well, there you go. I'm glad I was able to kind of spark that memory for you. Excellent.